Everybody, this is Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, and over there is the thing that I didn't think of a simile, so it's that guy over there. What's your name, guy over there?
Chris with two thumbs.
And Chris, he always is. How you doing tonight, Chris?
I'm doing great. It's the weekend, it's the day before the Super Bowl, just to, date the show.
What's your Super Bowl predictions? Because I'm gonna definitely,
Oh,
since
what I
that's my
say in
edit, I'm
chat.
gonna cut in and with the actual final score and
I think
say that
in
we're all a bunch
chat
of idiots.
I had blanking 36-30 Bengals.
Yeah,
I think
remember
that's
how
what
I was like? Remember when I was like, "Yeah, y'all are being so optimistic that the Bengals are." I'm like, I'm trying to win Keith's money. And what did I say? I'll stick to mine, and I will go.
Yep, 36-30.
I will go 27-23 Rams, and then I'm going to insert with the
It's not like
reels.
27-23 isn't a reasonably high score, but I am definitely going on the higher end of high. Most folks have it around 50 to 54. Meaning total points.
I'm right at 50 right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey everyone, this is Josh popping in with a quick edit here. The final score of the Super Bowl was 23-20, with Rams winning by 3 points. These guys don't know what they're talking about, so let's get back to the show, and maybe they'll be able to right the ship. No, they won't, but just keep watching, listening. However, maybe taking it in Braille, and I'm gonna bye.
So. He's got
Anyways,
53.
Do you want to do some news, or do you want me to do the news? I have all this news written down.
Yes, by all means.
If you want to go for it,
started.
All right,
I fell down the coaching carousel rabbit hole, as you know.
Let's just start with the coaches. There, we got Mike McDaniel, who is has been named the new Miami Dolphins head coach. He's the offensive coordinator coming over from San Francisco, right? Did we establish that?
It's the offensive. Yeah, I think it's the offensive.
All right. Well, don't hate us if we're wrong here. Lovie Smith here, the freshly fired head coach of the Fighting Illini, is now the Houston Texans head coach for some reason. Don't get me wrong. I love your beard there, Lovie Smith, but I don't really like your resume all that much. And the New Orleans Saints, they make Dennis Allen their defensive coordinator under blank Sean Payton.
Sorry, yep. Defensive coordinator up to the head coach position. Yep.
Yeah, Dennis Allen, the defense coordinator, now is their new head coach there in New Orleans. Plenty of questions with that team and the Texans and the Dolphins. I don't know. The Dolphins' offensive side of the ball, I don't know if there's a lot of questions there, but I don't know. Other than I think the Lovie Smith thing is a real head scratcher. Dennis Allen, continuity for the team, get it. Mike McDaniel, worked under Kyle Shanahan.
I don't think Levy's that questionable. I think he's got obviously the experience, and I think they need a culture change. I think they need a culture change in Houston. If there's two things he's got, is experience and he does things. I don't know.
It's not like David Culley was did that bad of a job. Like he really squeezed every little bit of talent out of that rather talentless roster.
Yeah. Oh, and don't get me wrong, Lovie Smith is going to the game with a short deck or what have you, but again, I just think they're not necessarily. I think he can win games, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're not necessarily looking at winning a ton of games right now, meaning they need a culture change, they need a stability, and I think he can field a competitive squad enough to maybe, I don't know, win several games in his first year and see what happens then. But I don't know, I kind of like it.
Okay. And then I'm going to go a little rumors before the big news. The rustling in the bushes is that Calvin Ridley could be looking for a fresh start elsewhere. I think he's still under contract with the Falcons, so they would have to trade him.
I'm pretty sure.
But I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case, like that he wants to go elsewhere. And really, if you're the Falcons, like, are you really playing for anything this year at all? Like.
Yeah, do you go ahead and is Matt Ryan's contract up?
Or is he for this year?
After this year, you might work out a Stafford type of thing. Let him walk.
Find a team that's desperate and
or
it looks
just trade him.
It looks like him, maybe. Calvin Ridley has 1 year left on his rookie deal. Is what's going on here.
Okay, so both of them have a year left. Yeah, it's like why wait another year, especially if Ridley's going to continue to have issues. I don't think they're and plus you're not getting Pitts Matt Ryan to Pitts is not something they're looking at in the future. So why not go ahead and hit the proverbial reset button now? You lost a bunch of games. You should have a reasonably high pick off the top of my head. Yeah, I think it might be a package deal. Hey, let's let Ridley and Ryan go and build up Pitts and whoever we can get at quarterback.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're going to get rid of Pitts. I think Pitts is going to be their cornerstone for
just
rebuilding.
Ryan and Ridley. Just Ryan and Ridley. Build.
I think Ryan's going to stay because there's nothing at quarterback out there right now. Like, not a lot in the draft, supposedly. Not a lot in free agency.
No, correct. Yeah. Or at least
I think they hang on to Matt Ryan for one more year and hopefully, and maybe even give him one more year after this year or two, just to be kind of the bridge to their future. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, big news. Big news. Alvin Kamara has been arrested for, and I'm going to use this term rather loosely, allegedly assaulting, and I say rather loosely because he was caught on video assaulting a man in Vegas.
Oh.
Yeah, he's going to be suspended, folks. Gonna be suspended. And he is we can talk about what? Oh yeah.
Not pretty.
I didn't watch the video. I don't if I want to see a guy get beat up, I'll watch bum fights or something. That's not true. I don't watch bum fights, but yeah.
I wonder what the situation was behind it. That's not what we're going to get into, however, but no,
apparently the story is that Calvin Ridley and his crew were getting on an elevator. They were chit-chatting with a guy waiting for an elevator.
Calvin Ridley? You mean Alvin Kamara?
Alvin Kamara, sorry.
Okay. Alvin Kamara, I was like, he's involved too? This is getting juicy.
No.
I don't mean to laugh, folks. There's a victim
and his
somewhere here.
Crew were his boys, whatever, his entourage were waiting for an elevator in Vegas, and this guy was sitting there like chatting with him or whatever. Obviously, there's no audio to the video because it's a surveillance camera. But yeah, apparently, like the guy tried to get in the elevator with Kamara and his crew, and Kamara kind of pushed him back. And and I'm gonna assume that it was kind of like, yeah, no, bro, just this is our elevator, and maybe some words flew or whatever, and Kamara hit him a few times, and I think put him in the hospital.
So correct me if I'm wrong off the top of my head, because again, I must have been living on a rock the past 2 days.
Apparently,
at least in your opinion, the key is that he really beat this guy up badly. Like, it wasn't so much he got in a scuffle, which has repercussions too.
I'm going off of 3-day-old news in my memory too.
Yeah, we can move on. I was enlightened. Let's go. That is big news. That's impactful, especially in Dynasty. Lose your head coach. You lose your head coach. You get a defensive guy instead of an offensive guy.
5 days ago. Jeepers creepers. You've really have been living under a rock.
5 days
5
ago?
days
ago.
The
couple of articles I pulled up were 2 days old. Anyway.
Okay. Arrested for battery resulting in substantial bodily harm. Las Vegas Metro PD patrol officers were dispatched to a local hospital where a person was reporting a battery. The victim will leave out those details about the nightclub. Yada, yada. So on and so on. That was the official tweet from the police department there in Vegas. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and read arrest reports or whatever.
Yeah.
For the show, but yeah, he's in a world of trouble. If not legally, then yeah, he's gonna get suspended, or he's gonna be on the the commissioner exempt list for a while, right?
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Fire up your question mark back up to Alvin Kamara. Anyways, the goal of today's show is cheap running back trades that can potentially be done in your dynasty league too. That's obviously we're in that section of the season, so we're off season, I guess is that we're. And I like this, and I was kind of kicking this idea around because. And Chris, I'm not trying to rub this in your face, but won the championship in our dynasty league. But a lot of it was on the back of backup running backs that were more or less, if you looked at my team in the beginning of the year, had absolutely zero value.
Yeah, we thought you were in big trouble at
I thought it was
being
dead in the
able to
water.
field two RBs a week.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was dead in the water. So
yeah.
I came up with some names that are some guys you could potentially trade for. And some of these guys are maybe not going to be the starting running back for their teams next year or whatever. But if you can acquire some of them for like a 3rd round pick, maybe even a 2nd round pick, or, just a roster guy that you're kind of just swapping roster, like depth players, from your team to the, say, this guy isn't officially on our list, but like Tariq Cohen, like a guy that could potentially have value, but doesn't, isn't the starting running back for his team, But they're depth guys. But depth guys are good. You need depth. You need good depth guys. You don't need You don't really need a DJ Dallas on your. I mean, yeah, you do, but you don't really need a DJ Dallas on your dynasty roster.
If you can make a move for a reasonable pick, maybe throw in a cheap player and get one of these guys we're going to be talking about today. It's kind of a speculative trade, if you will, a speculative ad, a chance to take a stab at a guy that might get a chance at a starting job where he's at, or maybe elsewhere next year, or in 2022. No,
one guy on my list already has a starting job, but we'll see. I'll take your temperature on him.
Fair.
In the ear too, not the back end.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, swab your forehead. Those take your temperature that way. Nothing invasive. On this starting running back, but he's number 4 on our list. And these guys are in no particular order. I would just threw some names on a piece of paper, a virtual piece of paper, and wrote some stuff down on them. So you ready to get going, Chris?
I'm ready. I'm messing with my mic, trying to get it perfect. Perfect. Don't ever touch it again.
You'll punch it, and then you'll be like, no. Jeepers, creepers.
Oh, I forgot to grab
whatever your non-swearing expletive is.
Yeah.
God bless it. That's what you always say.
That's one of my big ones. Yeah.
Anyways, first guy on our list, Chris Evans, Captain America himself. I know you kind of like him, don't you, Chris?
For sure, I do.
I mean, probably because you share a name with him, but he's Joe Mixon's backup. If no one knew that, for the Bengals. But I think you could get Captain America pretty freaking cheap. Like, officially, he according to ESPN's website, he is number 3 on the depth chart there behind Samaje Perine. I think Samaje Perine is just a guy, and maybe
Agreed.
Chris Evans kind of is too. Like, his college career was kind of, had some showed some promise in college, but not a lot.
He was kind of buried. I don't want to say buried, because it might have been 3rd. I don't consider that necessarily buried in college, but he had depth chart problems. He had guys in front of him that was only because he was suspended from college for a year because of academics, and then when he came back, that's when he got buried on the depth chart. And I saw him. The Michigan Wolverines did there's an Amazon Prime show.
I thought you were talking about the comic book character.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No. All or Nothing, it might be, I think, is what it's called. Anyway, he was on that show, and again, he wasn't the first guy, and the senior played well. I think it was a senior, the one guy ahead of him, or 2 guys ahead of him. And I like what I saw. He could catch the ball. Sometimes that's all you're looking for when you're drafting in the dynasty, 3rd, 4th, or 5th round, where I'm like, I don't know, he can catch the ball a little bit, ding, and hopefully I'll get lucky. But no, I like him. I think he ends up being the second guy.
Okay, so here's my idea with Chris Evans. What if you could backdoor Chris Evans into a trade? I'm going to use Robert Woods as an example. Say the guy who has Chris Evans on his roster also has Robert Woods, and you're trying to acquire Robert Woods. Maybe you're just like, why don't you just throw in some Chris Evans, and I'll give you, like, I don't know. I didn't write a name down. I'll give you like Terry McLaurin for both of those guys, or something like that. Like an okay wide receiver, kind of, wide receiver. Like, yeah, it's a 2-to-1. I know you don't like doing a 2-to-1, 2-for-1. Being the guy that's getting 2, but like Chris Evans is just kind of like that throw-in guy, like, and even then, like you can if maybe like the player that has Chris Evans, like I'm just trying to fill out the back end of my running back stable in Dynasty with guys like Chris Evans, that potentially have a shot. And that's, like I said, that was kind of the goal for this show.
Or even more importantly, if they get a shot, you have at least some belief in their talent and ability to do something with it. Yeah. No,
and so like, what could you get Chris Evans for like a 4th rounder?
No, I don't think so. I liked your trade. In fact, as an Evans, whatever, appreciatist, that's not a thing. A guy who likes Evans and does have him on my dynasty.
An Evans enthusiast, a Captain America enthusiast.
Thank you. Yeah, right. I liked that McLaren trade and Woods. That wasn't bad. I probably would do that, but no, I wouldn't do it for a 4th. Most folks would probably start entertaining a 3rd. Again, I'm a little high on him, so I'd probably hold out, but I'm probably too high on him. I think a 3rd's more reasonable.
I don't know if I'm going a 3rd for Chris Evans, but at the moment, now if Samaje Perine left and it was definitely Chris Evans,
I'm definitely speculating.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing too. One of the reasons why I didn't actually write this down, but one of the reasons why I was in on Chris Evans and I wanted to put him on my list here is that outside of this year, Joe Mixon has missed a few games, like at least 2 games in almost every season.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. It's a good call. That's a good call.
So
he's been
so like there's a definite chance that like. And especially in Dynasty with like, and hopefully your running back stable is pretty deep where like you can have guys that can be your, what's going on over there?
Sorry, just messing with the dial.
Right on. Like with guys in Dynasty and your running back stable, like if there's guys that can make a spot start for you, like say you're just kind of like it's a bye week, it's a real bad bye week for you, and you got a Chris Evans, and all of a sudden like the stars align, and you got Chris Evans there making a spot start for you. With Joe Mixon being out and all the other guys ahead of him are on bye, or maybe they have a 1 or 2 week injury too. Like you're just trying to buy some wins, and that's what a Chris Evans could potentially do for you.
His targets were a little lower than I'd. Oh wait, I was looking at receptions. Yeah, his targets were a little lower than I'd like. He can catch the ball well. He didn't get as much.
Anyways, and another guy on my list. I'm gonna skip my number 2 guy on my list. I'm gonna go to Armando Stevenson, another guy that I know that you're pretty
high on. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm going to actually have you talk. I'm going to surprise you by having you talk about him a little bit. Yeah, he's got, oh boy, what's his name? Damian Harris in front of him.
Damian Harris in front of him, of course, yeah.
But Ronnie Stevenson, like was he another 3rd round pick by the Patriots, like Damian Harris?
That feels right, but I do not know. I'm going to say 4th, but that
and yeah, that might be true too. But I mean, Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson, that is. Finished with 9.4 points per game in 11 games for this past season, which isn't bad, and
limited time, yeah.
And honestly, like I'm thinking you could get him fairly cheap. You're gonna probably say at least a 2nd and probably a high 2nd round pick.
He was a 4th round pick, FYI.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. That's when the second you said it, I was like, I think you're right. So I'm guessing you're gonna say that you're gonna like the Ramondre Stevenson manager is gonna ask for at least a 2nd round pick, maybe a little too high. I want to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
like what if you were to like?
Young, I guess that's fair.
What if you were to like pack in some other like schmo running back in a 3rd round pick, or like a 3rd and then a future 4th for Ramondre Stevenson?
That might get it done.
Do you think that might get it done?
I mean,
I don't want to give up 2/3, but I'll give a 1/3 and
negative. I think is that I think he's going to have Damian Harris in his way for at least another year. And whether or not Ramondre ends up taking over in New England, I have no idea. It could be elsewhere. I like his talent. I think he's a big guy and can catch the ball well. He obviously showed what he could do. I think he plays a little special teams too, maybe? Or are they still
yeah, and here's the thing too. Anyway. It's Bill Belichick, man. He plays for the Patriots. At any time, any point in time, Damian Harris could just be riding the bench, and it could be Ramondre Stevenson, Yeah.
Like, it's not like I think Chris Evans is going to take over for Mixon, but I like the long-term talent outlook, whereas I feel like as long as you're in New England, anything could freaking happen.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Ramondre Stevenson could have like a 3-game stretch where like he's a starter for you,
Yeah,
and
or the opposite.
And maybe the person who drafted him last year, was it last year or was it 2 years ago? Last year, right? 2 years ago.
Oh, I think he's entering his 3rd year.
2nd. Okay. The person who drafted him might just be a little disenfranchised with maybe he's just not quite hasn't secured the starting role, kind of blah blah blah, and
Getting anxious, wants to move on. Yeah, for sure.
Getting anxious. They're like, man, I've drafted this guy to be a starter, and he hasn't been. This Damian Harris character has been in his way, and who knows? Maybe the Armando Stevenson manager has Damian Harris, and and maybe you can just kind of swoop in and be like, well, I mean, you don't need his, but do you really need his backup? Really? No? Okay. I don't know. If you could get him for a third and then like a third round pick for 2022 and then like a fourth round for 2023 draft, I'd do that. A little steep.
I don't hate that. In both directions, I don't hate that. That's fairly reasonable, I think.
I think it's reasonable, maybe a little too steep for me, but
a little rich, yeah.
A little. I'm trying to go pretty cheap on this.
But if you like the guy, and I do. But go ahead to the next guy, sure.
The next name on my list is, I mean, I guess if he would initially started out as the number one on this list, if I were to rank him, but maybe not. Marlon Mack.
Yep.
Marlon Mack.
Okay.
Like with, objectively wherever you want to put him on this list, Marlon Mack is, you got to be able to get him for fairly cheap. I think like the person who
I think he's the number one on this list. Yeah, for sure. I think he just recency bias. He hadn't done anything.
He hasn't done anything for almost 2 years now.
That's fair.
Why do I say 2 years? Because he more or less rode the pine for almost all of last year. In 2020, he played half of week one, and then he ruptured his Achilles. But here's the thing about Marlon Mack, and maybe you remember this, Chris, and maybe you don't. In 2018, he was the number 20 or 21 running back, and he did that in 12 games. And then in 2019, he was the running back 21 in 2018, and with only 12 games played. And then in 2019, he played in 14 games. He was the RB 20. Yeah. So the only and like at first I was like, man, maybe he just did that because the Colts offensive line was really good. But I mean, like now we're talking about 2018 when it wasn't like the offensive line that it is now. Let's put it that way, or it was in 2020. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, that kind of impresses me. Yeah, he's a little bit older now than he was, and he's gone through a ruptured Achilles and everything. But like
to come out the other side. I understand he hasn't done much in 2 years.
I don't think he has any reason. I don't think he has any reason to stay in Indy too. He's staring at another role like he had this year. Waiting.
I think the only reason he came back to Indy was because of the injury. He knew he could be lower on the depth chart. He could nurse his injury back to health, maybe get a chance.
I think he also thought he was going to have a little bit more playing time, and then Jonathan Taylor came out and hulked out, and was just like, and he's like, oh, never mind. This guy's really good.
Oh, okay. Goodbye.
Yeah, never mind.
No, I love him. I think the one thing that comes to mind when I talk about Marlon Mack and a speculative, hopefully on the cheap side trade in the dynasty, is there's head coaches, there's offensive coordinators out there that want this guy. Sure, maybe there's second guy. Maybe there's a couple teams that are desperate enough to put him at the number one. That's fine to speculate that. But I'm saying that I think anybody and a lot of coaches still like a guy of his talent level and his and he's a vet. I think he'll have plenty of guys knocking on his door. I don't think he's going to be one of those running backs that waits till week 3 or 4 to get a job. Let me put it that way, because that does happen a lot nowadays.
I think I think he'll have a job before the NFL draft, not after. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I don't have a landing spot for most of these guys, but I do for Marlon Mack. What if he goes to Houston?
I like it.
Their offensive line was not great last year, but also wasn't downright atrocious either.
Probably get some more volume because Lovie Smith is a defensive guy, so probably likes to run the ball a bit more than most.
And when he was the head coach of the Bears, that was definitely. I mean, I think he was there with.
And I bet they, going back to your point a week or so ago, that I think they moved forward with Davis Mills. Give him a chance in the second year. Again, they're not.
Oh, you finally came around on that.
Well, I just think. I actually kind of like that backfield combo, Josh, honestly. Marlon Mack and Davis Mills. Now, again, they're not winning 9 games, 10 games. They're just not. But
I don't even think they're playing for the playoffs this year, this coming in 2022.
But but what that haul you get for Watson, that I guess is inevitable, and you turn around, hey, maybe Davis Mills does have something. Now you can work with an offensive line pick and defensive help.
Yep.
Maybe Cooks is gone by this point, but hey, I think I kind of like that combo.
I think they're going to try and do whatever
you
they can.
Convince me, honestly. I'm aboard.
I think the Texans too are going to try and do whatever they can to convince Cooks to stick around for the main reason of
transition.
We need something to build upon. Like we need if we have
and Cooks is a vet, he could have his family in Houston and doesn't want to move. All kinds of stuff goes into those.
And I think Cooks is going to stay as long as they put a no trade clause in his contract, because that was the one thing he came out during the season last year. He's like, please don't trade me.
Because he's been moved around so much. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he'll even.
And he
would even stay in Houston and take less money as long as they put that into his contract.
I agree. I mean, I agree.
Anyways, so yeah, Marlon Mack. Okay, so this is he's going to be one of the richer guys on our list here, Chris. What's it going to take to get Marlon Mack? Second round pick?
I don't know if he's richer. I don't know if he costs more. Yeah, I think a second gets it done.
Is that too much? Too high? Too little?
He has. I don't know if it's the most, but a ton of speculation here. We have no idea where he's going to be. We're except for the fact that we both and most people.
Well, and that's the thing too.
It will not be Indy.
The point of this episode is do it now or within the next few weeks before free agency starts.
Moving forward, I think he's worth more than a second. Let me be clear. I would like to see if I could play it down to a third, and or some other combination of players.
Well, I mean, dude, I'm definitely starting at a third. And but would you give a second for Marlon Mack?
If I'm in win now mode, and
would you give a top half of the second round for Marlon Mack?
I don't think so. Probably not.
Because I'm sitting at the top. I'm sitting at the top half of
second round picks in my.
I'm sitting at the top half of the second round in our dynasty draft right now.
And it stinks because then you look at your third, assuming you mostly have your picks in the following rounds, and you're like, well, now my third's not enough to get.
Well, I already gave up my second. I gave up my second round pick already to get James Conner. So
how are you? I'm sorry, you're at the beginning of the second.
I'm in the top half. I made a trade last year during the draft.
Pick. Yeah, that's why I was saying that. Yep. You answered my question. Clearly,
our friend, what's his Vopo? Our friend Vopo.
There you go. Shout out to Matt. All right, who do you got? Is that it for Mac?
Yeah. So second, okay. I'm probably gonna.
I wouldn't blame the owner for holding out for a second. I'm
probably gonna throw in like a Darrell Williams or something and try and make it a third and a throwaway player too.
I like it.
I think that could get done. Last play or two more guys.
Maybe somebody younger than Darrell Williams, but I like it.
Yeah. Two more guys. Let's go with Raheem Mostert. He was going to be last, but I'm going to talk about him now. He was the 49ers running back. He's actually he's heading towards free agency. I thought he had another year left on his deal, but apparently he doesn't, according to Spotrac. I looked it up before earlier today. And in 2019, he was the running back 24, and if he did play in all 16 games. In 2020, he was the RB 48, but he only played in half the games. But he was averaging 11.5 points per game too, as always.
Always been a very efficient runner too. Always big chunks.
Yes, exactly. And just a fast guy that can kind of do it all. Really kind of a real Kyle Shanahan-esque running back. But a guy he's probably not going to play all 16 games for you. But I mean, you put him on a team like, I don't know, honestly, you know what he would, where he would be really great? Denver. A real fast, speedy guy to complement Javonte Williams, who isn't exactly the fastest guy in the world.
Okay, I like it. I've got another one. Arizona.
What's up?
Arizona, assuming there's some movement with Connor or something.
They would have to move Chase Edmonds to bring in, because Connor's not that fast either. I mean, you're not going to go. Are you going to go where Mostert?
Edmonds is not as fast as Mostert. Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. It's not like Mostert's a small guy. Hey, maybe Edmonds does move. I don't know. I mean, the quarterback's upset. That's all they're worried about right now.
Oh yeah, what's up with that, man? I forgot to ask you before we started recording.
I think he wants his money. I think Kyler wants his money, and he feels a little jaded. He sees the Josh Allen treatment that he's getting, and he just got Josh Allen got paid. Who was it before that? Russell Wilson few years ago, but more.
Hey Kyler. Else. Hey,
Yeah.
Kyler, if you wait another year, you'll get even more money.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
And so I've heard, so I've read. It was really weird the way that season ended in that locker room, that camp. You know, they are flabbergasted.
I'm
They're
wondering
like,
about their
how
head
did this
coach.
happen?
I'm really starting to
That
worry
has
about
been
their
thrown
head
out.
coach.
Not like anything concrete whatsoever, but that's been thrown out.
I'm a little surprised his head didn't roll this off season.
I think
A little surprised.
Going to your point and my point, I think it's because of the marriage between Kyler and the head coach, and I think they still believe in it. I still do too. I think they make him happy.
I'm having my doubts.
Whatever's wrong at receiver or running back or contract, I think they make him happy, and they probably should. And I think it'll all kind of, like you say, a lot of this offseason stuff will go away.
All right, so Raheem Mostert, he's once again maybe a third.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah. I guess I wouldn't give him up for a fourth, but let's be honest. He might be one of the cheaper guys. Let's be honest. A lot of injuries.
Would a straight up trade of Tyler Boyd be too much for Raheem Mostert? Probably.
That's a really good one.
What about this?
This? I think I take Boyd. I think I take Boyd in that trade, but it's, as I said, it's close enough.
What about Van Jefferson? Van Jefferson for Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
Is that pretty fair?
Yeah. Hey, I got some young receivers I can get rid of. I need a running back that might play 7, 8, 9 games. Oh. Maybe on a good offense. We'll see.
Maybe throwing a 5th round pick in there too, just to kind of be like, yeah, sure.
And the Boyd wouldn't necessarily not work, but that would be much more team specific. I know they're both receivers.
I think if you're a Raheem Mostert manager, or if I'm trying to get my Raheem Mostert and I'm offering up Tyler Boyd, I'm going to be like, and maybe a 4th round pick too.
Give me something back. Agreed. Plus, that Raheem Mostert manager might be really tired of being a Raheem Mostert manager.
He might be tired of just injuries, or just him disappearing for like it. Even though he played in quote 16 games in 2019, there's probably games where it was like a lot of Jeff Wilson
left in the first quarter,
or Tariq Cohen or not Tariq Cohen, Jerick McKinnon or whoever the flavor of the day was for Kyle Shanahan.
And now that mess has been figured out, and so Mostert is on the outs.
For sure. I got one. This is the big one that I'm holding back. Saquon Barkley. Once again, for cheap. You have to get him for cheap.
I don't think you can.
The reason I put him on the list is that it's basically you're going to the Saquon manager in your league, your dynasty league, of course, and you're kicking the tires to see if he's just fed up with Saquon.
Kind of like you can get him. Mostert. I mean, completely different value. I get it, but so what are you talking about here? Less than a first?
I'm going to try and offer up some players, some players, and then maybe a second to get Saquon.
I think a high second, top half of the second, top 5 second round pick could maybe, not by itself, but real close, could almost get that done. I think you'd have to add in a player that manager likes. Does that make sense? A young player that manager likes, maybe even at the same position, like a Chris Evans or a. I got some other names here I don't want to shell out just yet. Somebody, just again, a young guy that might have a chance to start where he's at or a chance to start elsewhere in a year or so.
Name Hines.
I could do it with. I don't like Hines. Give me 1 or 2 more names.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not doing that.
Kenneth Gainwell and a first pick of the 3rd round.
No, I want a second, like a top 5, top 6 second.
Okay. Well, I mean, I wanted to talk to you.
I do like that one.
I wanted to pick your brain on all of this a lot because, like I said,
you're probably right. Maybe even the lower second. You're probably right. I know we're picking nits, but that's what this is about. It's a way to get a deal done.
And for listeners of the show, however few you may be, but I'm not arguing with Chris at all because I'm picking his brain because I just once again, if you have been following, I've only played Dynasty 1 year. I've gone through one off season. Yes, I won the championship, and that one is definitely rubbing it in your face. But
No, it was
you know,
serendipitous,
I'm trying to pick your brain, kind of like taking your temperature, you know, on some of these guys, just because I'm like, you know, could you possibly get like I am by no means saying you should ever give a first rounder for Saquon. I would rather unless you're sitting
and
there
I'm playing tough or whatever. You know, I'm holding out. Yeah, no, we're doing a good job. I think it's great content.
Unless you're sitting there in your dynasty draft and you're at the end of the first round and you don't like anyone there, you'd rather just wait till your second round pick and you're like, yeah, I'll give you a first rounder for Saquon. Sure, whatever. You're sitting there and pick 9, let's say, and you're just like, I don't like any of these guys. I don't like any of his value
type of thing. Yeah,
all these players that I like. All the players that I wanted to draft with my first round pick are gone. No one wants to give me a good haul for my first round pick. You know what,
Josh is a good example. My team continuously makes the playoffs and continuously picks in the bottom, 9, 8,
quarter.
10, 12, 9, 8, 10 of the first round.
Yeah, the Buffalo
and
Bills.
I keep getting good young receivers. Granted, I'm still pretty strong there, but at times I'm like, God, I wish I could have another running back for goodness sakes. And of course, they're all drafted by that point. The rookies, that is. So yeah, no, I don't hate that, but I would definitely err.
Mitchell was your first round pick last year, but you chose wrong.
Yeah, first round pick. Is that when I took that guy? I thought I took him in the second.
You took Javian Hawkins in the second, yes, but one pick ahead of me too, mind you.
Yeah. I'm an idiot. Who did I take with my first? Did I have a first? Anyway.
It was the Carolina Panthers receiver.
Yeah. Dividends yet to be paid, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. That looked like such a good pick at the time.
Again, what do I get? A young receiver, a young
Terrace Marshall is his name, by the way.
Terrace, yep. All right.
Anyways, okay. Where we wanted this to be kind of quick. We're running a little long already, but here's a couple other names that I was thinking of throwing out there. Miles Sanders. Going to be too rich?
I mean, I'm going to play a little this or that with you. Miles Sanders or Saquon Barkley as a buyer. As the tradee, if you will. The buyer.
Saquon, talent.
Okay. But I think it's kind of close in terms of, I think Sanders keeps his job. I think he did enough. I think the team did enough. I think they're a good rushing team, the best from last year.
Yeah, I'm just worried that Nick Sirianni is like another Doug Peterson. He's just rotating backs constantly.
Well,
which he was doing.
I definitely don't believe Sanders will ever get
season when Miles Sanders was healthy.
Yeah, Sanders has been efficient, at least once he finally started playing well. He's been efficient, which was what we thought we were getting. However, no, I don't believe he's ever going to be more than a 65% guy. Not with that team. I
already threw out this name, Nyheim Hines. I know you're not super high on him, but
I love him as a player and talent. You got to go somewhere else if you're going to do anything.
What? But I mean, he's perfect for this list, though. He's like Jonathan Taylor gets injured.
That's fair. Yeah, third. How about a third?
I'd rather go fourth, but third seems appropriate.
Maybe you can.
Third
get that
seems
done.
appropriate.
Sure. Okay.
I would have to mull that trade over in my head, and depending on where it was in the third round too. A name that I really love here, and it almost made my 5 guys over I really wanted to talk about. I figured you would say it was too expensive. Chris Carson.
He's cheaper than Saquon, clearly.
Has an injury history, a definite injury history. I believe he's still under contract with Seattle. Rashad Penny is not. So potentially Chris Carson.
And the Carson manager doesn't know if Russell Wilson is back. And that makes a difference in my opinion.
Also doesn't know if Rashad Penny is going to be coming back.
Oh, his contract is up?
Yeah.
And
Rashad Penny is free agent.
Okay.
Chris Carson has 1 more year left on his deal, but it's a very the Seahawks could easily get out of it. It's not even $6.5 million.
He's not an expensive dude. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to talk smack about him, but I like it. Well, I say I like it, Josh, but I've always liked Carson, and he's kind of become exactly what we thought he would be. Good. Probably an RB2 most seasons, but been banged up. Seattle isn't in love with him. Never has been. I mean, I know they paid him a little bit, but
I think they only paid him a little bit because but he would have gotten more, but injury history,
Yep. They got him cheap. Again, they got him cheap because he's always hurt. He runs hard, man. He runs real hard. I love the player, but I just Yeah, as a Carson manager, I might do it for a third. I might maybe third and some other throw-in picks or throw-in players.
So you're saying if you were a Chris Carson manager, you would take a 3rd-round pick for him,
and a little more, yeah, probably. I don't know.
I gotta get on these dynasty trades. Wow. Okay.
I don't know if he's got a job next year. And
yeah,
again, this is February. This is the day before Super Bowl, so we still have a NFL draft and
the Superb Owl Eve
rookies. Yeah. I got a couple to throw out real quick, or do you have some more?
I have. I'll do my dark horse here, which is gonna blow your mind. Okay. We already talked about him. You're gonna have to kind of put your moral stance aside on this name, Alvin Kamara.
It's too early. I'm not budging if I'm an Alvin Kamara manager. No way.
What, really? Oh my!
What do I have to stand? What are you going to give me? What are you going to give me for Alvin Kamara right now?
Well, like with Saquon, you kick the tires. So maybe the Alvin Kamara manager is freaking out. He'll take whatever he can for him because he's probably
a high second, like Saquon.
Oh yeah, I definitely do that. As a
Kamara manager, you do that.
If I am already set at running back and I'm trying to acquire,
I doubt you're that set. Not you yourself, obviously, but I said
if I am.
Hey, speak of the devil. I'm pretty sure Keith is the Kamara manager, is he not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got some running back depth. Yes.
Yeah.
In that use case. Yeah, whatever. In that situation, that's a perfect example, actually, out of our own league. That's a perfect example to send him.
How did that running back?
Offer him your high second and see what happens.
He'll probably laugh at me like I laughed at his offer for Devontae Adams
for the sake of commentary and the show, I think that's pretty reasonable from your end. Because he's got a lot of running backs that he can play with. Now he does have Derrick Henry, who's should be fine, but he was hurt. Although he played in the playoffs, didn't he? Yeah, so he should be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Did he play in the playoffs though? He played in one game in the playoffs and was very, very looked awful. He looked injured while he was playing in that playoff game.
It was just one game, wasn't it? And he shared time with good old Foreman. Somebody might consider that a high second, like top 5 second round pick. And you have that, right? So now, do you do that from your perspective?
Just playing for the future. I mean, also Alvin Kamara wasn't that great last year.
And his head coach is gone.
Mm-hmm.
The head coach who you look statistically year in, year out, how much the running back is targeted, and the Saints lead the league every year. And he runs well too. Don't get me wrong; he's a running back.
Because they also don't have a lot of pass catchers either.
Yeah, so
Andrew Brees became a bit of a noodle arm.
Yeah, fair. Another very good point. But they made it work, and it worked well there for a couple years. And he's one of the best at it. And I think
for sure.
You have a wild card with a former defensive coordinator as a head coach. Maybe it's more of a ground and pound, and maybe it doesn't suit Kamara, although I think he's plenty big and strong, but he also won't be playing probably. That's tough, man. I kind of like that angle. I kind of like that top half of the second round pick. Maybe give it a try. Can't blame him for saying no, but I think it's...
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the worst. What's the worst that anyone does when you propose a trade offer? They just don't respond to... a no response is worse than a no.
The worst. Yeah, amen.
A quick PSA for all fantasy players: just if someone texts you about it or messages you about a trade, don't ghost them on it if it's that bad. Just be like no, or be like frick no, or
give a reply. I need more.
I'll reply of some sort, even if it's maybe not a death threat reply, but a reply.
Can I throw out a couple more names before we wind up?
Yeah, yes, please do. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Here's probably the one we haven't talked about.
Before you do, I have a list of destination. Okay, go ahead with your thing, and we'll a list of destinations we'll go through after you're done.
Let me name these
this
three
short
off in
show,
a row.
which is becoming long. Up.
While we finish up with the Kamara in related news, let me name off these 3 names real quick. Don't want to say a ton about them, but just obvious speculation here: Mark Ingram, Ty Montgomery, and Tony Jones Jr., Saints running backs. But the one on the list I really want to mention here, Justin Jackson. San Diego. Chargers. Justin Jackson of the Chargers.
I think
he's one of the better backups in the league.
But I think the only way I'm going after him is if I am the Alvin Kamara manager. And I'm only saying that because I think he's going to get a little too expensive. Because he was pretty decent in...
I'm sorry, did you mean Eckler manager?
What did I say?
Kamara. Gotcha. Yep. Makes more sense now. You did it twice tonight. It's fine. It's fine.
Sorry.
Hey, I'm usually
exactly
Mr.
what I meant.
I'm usually
Did I say Austin Kamara?
No, maybe you did. I'll have to listen to the recording. I'm pretty sure you said
Damn
Alvin.
it. I don't even know if I got that right. I don't think I got any name right there.
Can you imagine like DNA mutating Alvin Kamara and Austin Eckler together? Wow, what a player. They'd be like a receiver at running back. Anyway, no, I like Justin Jackson as a name to add here. You know, I think he's not too far off from a second, maybe a third.
I don't want to give up a second for him.
I know Eckler's there, but again, we're talking about guys that don't necessarily. But sometimes
the only way I'm giving up a second for him is if I'm the not Alvin Kamara, the Austin Eckler owner.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's a good middle to bottom of the depth chart running back to have on your dynasty.
No. He is. He's perfect for the list, but only if you can get him cheap. Only if you can get him for a third round or less.
Yeah.
Other than
that,
what's another name?
Tyson Williams. I still like what I saw.
Don't care. No,
well, I'm not. I don't think it's in Baltimore.
He was a healthy scratch for many games.
Hey, we're talking cheap. You can't give a cheap to Tyson Williams.
I'm going to pick him up off the waiver wire.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think about.
Oh yeah,
dynasty.
Yeah,
I think we'll see what happens. It's not going to be Freeman again in Baltimore. I don't know why they hated Tyson Williams, but maybe it's not Baltimore. Maybe it's elsewhere. Maybe he gets on a training camp roster. Active roster. I mean,
he goes to the Saints.
If he's on a practice squad, coming out in July? Yeah, let's just cut him. Fine. But if you can get him for a fifth, late fourth, I don't know. I like what I saw. And then Darrington Evans, I thought played well in Tennessee, but again, behind Henry.
I'm sorry. Is this the guy that you were like, oh, this guy, and he was actually a practice squad, like a journeyman practice squad player?
No, this was the second or third guy in Tennessee, right? Darrington.
I'm thinking of McNichols. Sorry, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, well, Tennessee, fair. No, Darrington Evans. I don't know Foreman's sixth round.
I like the name. No, I like the name. I think
so. I think Evans is a great second guy, and I think if I recall, I think he's big enough to be a starter. Not that Henry's.
Well, the reason the Titans drafted him is to be kind of a poor man's, he's got some size,
Henry. but I think he can catch better than Henry. So I like the name. Yep, that's all I got.
Yeah. I have one last name, and it's more of the kick the tires kind of name, is the Rashad Penny guy. I don't think you're gonna get him very cheap because of what he did at the end of the season, but it's definitely a name to maybe kind of be like, hey, what are you maybe you want to get rid of Rashad Penny? He hasn't done anything until
he could go to a situation where he's behind another guy again.
He could just go for a straight payday too and just be complete crap too. Anyway, so here's some teams that I should have probably started the show with this, but I have 4 teams that are really desperate at running back right now. Either they don't have a starting running back, in the case of the Saints, or they really need one. So the Falcons,
a better one, yeah. Yep.
Falcons, the Dolphins. The Dolphins need they kind of need an every down guy, or more of a premier. Let's put it this way: a premier running back.
That could help out Tua. I like that. They need a better guy. Yeah, they could help out Tua better.
Gaskin was okay in 2019 or 2020, but he was injured and not very good. That offensive line was
I'm not saying out on Gaskin
this past season too,
because maybe the value will still be there, but I think Gaskin might be on the outs.
I consider Gaskin, but I was like, I don't think he's going to be there next year. The Houston Texans. I already mentioned this, but the Houston Texans desperately need a really good, not good, but a Marlon Mack as kind of.
How about a guy with a little more fresh legs?
Do it all.
Yeah, no, I like the Mack fit. I'm not saying he has the fresh legs, but Mack.
And then
like
the New Orleans Saints, who with
something.
Kamara likely facing some sort of suspension or commissioner's exempt list, whatever, missing some significant time this year. The Saints are going to need a running back. They also need a quarterback too. Here's 4 more teams.
Frustrating thing is they just missed the playoffs, so they're not picking terribly high.
Yeah, it was probably best for them that
maybe
they
fall back to the end of the first and take a running back. Who knows? I'm just saying they're not picking high.
Anyways, teams that at least need another running back or potentially face an empty cupboard at the running back position. And here is the best spot, like in my quarterback.
So you mean they've got a guy, but if something happens to the guy, suddenly
and number one, they might not have a guy, and that's Tampa Bay. Lenny Fournette is facing free agency this year.
I think they need a back. Absolutely. Me and you like Gio through the years, but
he's not the guy. He's not a running back. I'm sorry. He's a white.
He's another big back. How about a Gus Edwards slides in there and gets a job? I don't know.
Consider. He
was on my list. We were trying to wrap up, so I didn't mention him on my list, but I like that name also.
Detroit. I have Detroit on my list, mainly because Jamal Williams really wasn't that effective this year. He was for like a game, and then the rest of the time he really wasn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It felt like it was earlier in the year. Targets were good.
It was.
And then, of course, Swift got hurt. But you're right. In Swift's absence, Williams wasn't good. Williams is a 1B or a 2A. Like he's a good backup to have both in,
real life and
yeah, we thought he would be better in fantasy, but that's what I was about to say. And yeah,
I thought he was going to be a lot better. And
yeah,
dude, I had him on almost every single.
I think he's an example of a guy who suffers when he's given. I think he's an example of a guy who suffers when he's given the entire pie.
Yeah, he's the 2 and a 1-2 punch.
Yep.
Anyways, one more name, 2 more names. The New York Jets. They need another. I think they need a good, solid guy to back up Michael Carter. I think it's maybe more of a long-term veteran, a Melvin Gordon-esque kind of guy, but maybe not. Maybe a Marlon Mack. Seattle could just completely scrap their running back core too. I mean,
just let them all.
Heck,
it's Seattle. It's for the most part the most replaceable position in the NFL. So,
what?
Running back.
Running back,
especially if you're punting on the season, like they may. What if they lose Wilson and let Carson walk? They're like, okay.
If they lose Wilson, I think they're going to trade away DK Metcalf.
Which again, going back to the coaches show, you would think if something transpires like that. It probably won't. You would think Carroll would be like, I'm out, dude. I'll go coach, Nevada or something, for a year and then come back or get a bigger college job. You know what I mean? Like he cannot be in for another rebuild. He cannot be in for losing Wilson. He's there for the end of Wilson.
Is he not the oldest coach in the NFL still?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Belichick's got to be getting up there, but no, I think Carroll's still clearly older. Yep. All right. What else you got? Is that it?
Which was supposed to be a short show has turned into a longer show. And Pete Carroll is the oldest NFL coach.
Gotcha.
Anyways, so that's been our quick, cheap running backs.
We're awful.
To trade for in Dynasty.
Hey, at least this gives us the feeling of what
we had a little news at the beginning. Next week we may not have we may not be having so much news. Why am I doing the
what am I doing? I'm trying to walk here. This gives us an idea what an actual sub 1 hour show feels like, because it'll be less than an hour. When we're doing our long shows or like an hour and a half. We're trying, folks. We're learning as we go. Hey, comment, like, share, subscribe. Let us know what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, and we can't wait to read your comments. I think Josh broke.
Nope. I just like being still because it fools you. Every single time. Anyways, so thanks for checking out our show. And like Chris said, like, share, subscribe. Just saying again to maybe, like, share, subscribe, like, share, subscribe, like, share, subscribe.
I don't know.
That thing that Marge did in that episode of The Simpsons. Anyways, until next time, which maybe we'll do some wide receivers next week. Maybe.
I love the Dynasty talk, man. Let's go.
Yeah, well, it'll be more Dynasty talk. Anyways, till next week, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Adios.
hasta mañana, even though I won't be tomorrow when I see you.